So it's been quite a while since we've had a dedicated Spider-Man animated TV show, 5 years in fact, since Marvel's Spider-Man ended. So it's really nice having a brand new, fresh Spider-Man show, and that one is actually set within the wider MCU multiverse. Originally, it was going to be set within the Sacred Timeline, but then I feel like they made the right decision in terms of setting it in a brand new universe, as they wanted to have a lot more freedom and just integrate a lot more of the Sony Spider-Man characters, and on that point, I think they absolutely made the right decision, as there is no way that they would have been able to add all of the characters that they have done in this series otherwise, as of course they're not going to be in the Sacred Timeline. All of that being said though, I do feel like this show is a little bit overhyped, as I personally much prefer the 90s classic, incredible animated TV show, as well as the criminally underrated 2017 Spider-Man cartoon, as I feel like personally they integrated the Spider-Man characters and the wider Marvel characters a lot better than what they have done so far in this one. Granted though, all of those shows did spend the first couple of episodes and season somewhat just setting the foundation of their universe. So, you know, in your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man's defense, it has only been 10 episodes, and I do feel like from a foundational level they have done a good job. And out of all of the Spider-Man cartoons released so far, I do feel like the neighborhood aspect, you can really feel it in this one. And even though I do feel like the 2017 series does integrate wider Marvel characters a lot better than this one has done so far, what I do appreciate is that it really does lean into the MCU world so much more. So for example, referencing Civil War and the Sokovia Accords, of course the Avengers battle from the first movie. So all of that stuff is really good, and you do know that all of the Marvel characters are in the background. I do feel like they could have just incorporated a couple more in this show. And speaking of the differences between this show and of course the Sacred Timeline, I am absolutely loving the fact that we can see Norman Osborn interacting with all of these characters, for example Thaddeus Ross, as it really does show that a truly integrated Marvel show or movie could be off the charts, and hopefully after Avengers Secret Wars we will truly be able to see that. And speaking of Norman Osborn, I absolutely love that they twisted the line, the classic line of, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, into with great powers should come great respect. And Peter Parker is such a sweet and influential character, so I loved the fact that this little change you can really see almost push Peter Parker into the dark side. And I thought it was a really nice touch how they reenacted the sequence of Peter almost killing Norman Osborn's Green Goblin in No Way Home to in this show he is almost going to kill Scorpion in a very similar way. So I thought all of that stuff was really, really clever, and of course Norman Osborn does have a presence in both scenes. And speaking of Scorpion, it's a real shame that they didn't incorporate J. Jonah Jameson, as his background and relationship with Scorpion's Gargan is so classic, so I really do hope that they do explore that. I know it's a little bit different, as of course Gargan blames J. Jonah Jameson in terms of him turning into Scorpion, whereas over here it was more voluntary and it involved Dr. Octavia, so fair enough, they've changed that a little bit, but I'm really looking forward to seeing the rivalry, hopefully, with J. Jonah Jameson and Gargan. And I absolutely love the final 10 minutes of this series as they were setting up season 2 in such a good way. First of all, we have to talk about the fact that Josh Keaton is now voicing Richard Parker. I absolutely love the Richard Parker role, especially the way in which they were introducing this character in Amazing Spider-Man 2, in terms of this character not only being really intelligent, but also having a bit of a dark affiliation with Oscorp, and just having a lot of mystery around him. So I'm loving the fact that we can hopefully retread some of those steps and storylines, as I just feel like it has so much potential, especially as Josh Keaton of course very infamously voiced Spider-Man in Spectacular Spider-Man. Even though we didn't see it on screen, which is a real shame, it has been revealed that Gwen Stacy will be in season 2, which I think will be really, really brilliant. I'm guessing the reason is because maybe they haven't finalized who the voice actress will be, but still they could have at least shown her, especially as her character model design is obviously ready. Nico tapping into her witchcraft to communicate with her mother I think is really intriguing. I feel like Nico is such a hypocrite, and I really do hope that Peter Parker does call her out on this in terms of giving Peter such a hard time for him not revealing such a big secret to her, yet she is doing exactly the same thing to him. Norman Osborn in the final episode was absolutely brilliant and really nefarious in terms of using all of the intern's abilities to create this device which is going to pull people from different galaxies and potentially other universes. Maybe that's the reason that we saw the Watcher as well. And even though Doctor Strange and Peter Parker, by the way, how wicked was that fight, were able to stop the symbiotes entering into our galaxy, of course, one of the symbiote goo is in this universe and Norman Osborn can see it. I love it, how it's very similar to what we are seeing in the MCU. Otto Octavius is creating the tentacle design in jail, even though we did see the tentacles earlier on in this season. And something else that we saw with Otto Octavius earlier on in this season is, of course, his rivalry with Norman Osborn. I do love how you do see this pretty much in all of the animated shows where you do see these two characters, but I am loving the rivalry between the two of them and how deep it is. I do hope that they do a flashback episode once to really explore this, as I feel like this could be an absolutely epic rivalry. And throughout this season, we have seen what a bit of a jerk Amadeus Cho is in this universe, and I love the fact that he rejected Harry Osborn's invite to Web, as instead he is going to be staying on at Oscorp. And Tombstone really is embracing his dark side as he is rejecting playing on the football team. I feel like they could have done a little bit more in terms of why the leader ultimately decided to run away from his group. And even though Peter and Harry have been quite pally-pally so far, as we've seen in a lot of iterations, this friendship unfortunately does go down a bit of a tragic path. So I wonder what will happen next. I'm guessing maybe Norman Osborn does give Harry the symbiote in a very similar way to what did happen in the Marvel Spider-Man 2, the video game. They did say that they chose this art design as they purposefully wanted to make it look very, very, very different to everything that you have seen before. And from that perspective, fair enough, it is very unique. It does take a little while to get used to, but then when you are used to it, it does feel really, really cool. Personally, I still prefer the What If design, and I think I'm just so biased as I absolutely love the 90s animated one. And even though I feel like this series definitely would have benefited from a couple more wider Marvel character appearances, I do like that they really are blending the wider Spider-Man characters, but with a bit of a twist. I don't feel like they went as far as Cape Crusader has done with its characters, but also bringing in lesser known Marvel characters into this world. For example, Pearl, who I think will eventually be able to control water, and of course Finesse, who we're now seeing is teaming up with Daredevil, which is going to be really, really cool, and of course a female version of Kurt Connors. I am looking forward to seeing how they're going to take on the classic characters, for example Gwen Stacy, MJ, and of course Eddie Brock. I'm guessing they're going to follow the blueprint that we saw in Spectacular Spider-Man, as that show just did it so well. And we're definitely going to be in this world for quite a while, as we've got season 2 and a season 3 coming, and I'm sure that there'll be loads more seasons as well. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're going to borrow and integrate more of the wider MCU storylines in here as well. And I just really, really hope that we're going to see some X-Men in the future as well, as I feel like that could be absolutely spectacular. So overall, I really, really enjoyed your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I feel like this brand just has so much love, so in some respects it's always going to do pretty well. And I feel like they are doing the right thing in terms of trying to put their own stamp on things, trying to do something different to what we have seen before. And we are very early on in this new universe, so I cannot wait to see what's going to happen next. But as far as your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1 is concerned, I had such a good time with it, and so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of this show? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.